So hello guys, hope you're doing well. After my last video, a few of you were asking me how I get my things done, and I promised to make this kind of video. I want to start saying, even when I have some design and photography education, I am a musician, and that's why I got my camera 800D or T7i just to film myself and film my band when we are touring and stuff like that. So it's been only 1 month that I'm going almost every day outside. I'm trying to get used to it, to the camera controls. So today I want to put together everything that I have learned in this my first month filming, and hope this will be helpful for you. Also want to say that I'm no English speaker, but I will do my best for you to understand me. Well, I will try to divide this video in 3 parts. It's how I have been learning. The first part I consider is the setting up your camera and get your camera ready for the second part, that is the actual shooting. And the third part is all the post-production. This is the edition and the color grading and all this thing like that. I will be covering all of my processing during these 3 different parts. Okay, the first thing is setting up your camera. This is how I'm doing it, and I hope I will get better on that, but I just want to share how I'm doing it for now so far. The first thing I set in the camera is the frame per second. I'm shooting on 24 frame per second. This gives you the more cinematic kind of look out of your video, because it's how our eyes trying to recognize film movies. So you want to be sure you are on 24 frames per second, or if you are using my same camera, this is 23.98. The second thing you want to set in your camera is your shutter speed. It's a rule called 180 degrees, if I'm not mistaken, and this means you want to double your frame rate. So in the Canon, in the DSLR Canon, I believe the near you can double your frame per second is 50, 1 of 50 of the second. So you want to set up your shutter speed to 1 of 50 of the second. The third thing that I set up is my aperture. I'm using the kit lens, as maybe a lot of you are using the same. This kit lens only opens to 4. This means you will not have a lot of blur in your background, a lot of depth of field. This is actually associated a lot with expensive movie or cinema cameras, and but that's why I try always to use as open as I can. Just so you don't know if you don't know what this means is, for example, now you can be the camera is focused on me, and you can see all this background blur in the back. As you can see, even when I did this movement, the video start looking more cinematic already. So you want to keep your diaphragm open. The other thing you need to set up now is the white balance. I found myself that the best for me is to use a custom white balance, and you can learn how to do it. Quick on that is you take a picture of a white paper, and you go to your menu, and you set up this white paper as your custom white balance, so the camera knows how the light is changing the whites, and you need to be sure that your camera is in custom white balance. If you don't want to do that, I highly recommend to use one of the slots that match your actual location. I highly recommend you to never use the auto white balance, even when you may think the camera does a really good job on that. It does, but the problem is when you set it on auto, the camera is always reading and is always changing these values. So this gives you this very tiny bit of feeling like a amateur camera, or like a telephone does. They only want to get a more balanced image all the time. It doesn't matter to give more stability. That's what I highly recommend, to use a custom white balance, or to use the slot that match your scene, but never use the auto white balance. The other thing you want to set up now is your color profile. The color profile, I want to say, this nothing to do with the lens, it's nothing to do with the sensor. This is just some like post-production that your camera does for you while compressing the files. It's kind of you may think like a kind of a color grading that your camera have different profiles, and that's what it does. I find myself, if you want to really manipulate your image in post-production and have this cinematic kind of look while you are color grading, the best, if you are using inbuilt color profile in your camera, is to use the neutral color profile. You need to go to info, and in info you want to set up the sharpness to 0, you want to set up the contrast to 0, and you want to set up the saturation to 0. This will give you the most flattened image possible. Maybe out of the camera you will think this is not looking good at all, but this is what you want, so you can color grade and give this kind of cinematic touch to your image. It's also a few third-party color profile that you can download and put in your camera. I'm actually using it, and not right now, but I used it before, and I can show you another video how to use it. It's a little bit deep there, and I don't want to go there because this can be a little bit tricky, and I promise to make a video later on that. But today we are using the neutral inbuilt color profile with these 3 parameters to 0. This doesn't mean your picture will be no sharp. This means your camera will be no doing some sharpness in post-production for you. So you have the room to do it yourself and set up exactly how much you want in post-production later. And believe me, you want to do that. So the last thing you want to adjust is the ISO. And in videography I found that is very commonly called gain. But in DSLR cameras it's called the ISO. We will leave this last parameter to adjust our overall exposition. For example, now I am on ISO 100, is the lowest that the camera can go. Probably there still a little bit like clipping, maybe tiny bit. This can be fixed then sacrificing a little bit the depth of field while you are closing the diaphragm a little bit. I didn't want to do that because it was no clipping, actually it was very near, but I didn't want to sacrifice the depth of field. The other thing you can do is to get the ND filter that I actually don't have now. I should get one because I'm learning that you may need that. Well, just double checking our camera, we are frame per second 24. We have shutter speed in 50. Diaphragm all the way open to 4 when you're using 18 millimeters like now. We have a custom white balance, or you have the preset that match your scene. For example, if now it's cloud, I will use cloud, but I have a custom white balance that I made already. So I have the neutral inbuilt color profile, and I set up the sharpness, contrast and saturation to 0, and I'm right now in 100 ESO. This last parameter is the one that you will be playing with. If I'm changing, let's say if I'm going there that we will go now inside the woods, probably I would need to crank the ISO a little bit because there's a little bit more dark, so I have all my footage well exposed. The other thing that you always want to have is your histogram, at least when you start exposing and maybe in the few first minutes when you are filming in the new location. So you are sure that you are not clipping, and this is very important, so you have a lot of information for color grading later. And the other thing that is very important, of course, is to have your camera set up to manual mode in the upper wheel. So I think our camera is set up already. Let's jump to the second part of this video, that is the actual shooting. Okay, my experience, the first things you want to do is to find few scenes that you will know very well, so you can go every day for a week and try to get the best in every shot in every day, and try to get it better every day, and try to find what you are missing and practicing 3 different scenes. This means a place that you can go and make a close up, or you can have a more kind of actually more wide shoot, and you can be practicing in the actual shooting of this, and you can be practicing how to edit this semi-scene. This don't have to be like a perfect scene. Sometimes you think that I don't have this, and you can find this everywhere outside your house, even inside your room, whatever. It's just to find something that you can have something in the foreground, something in the background, that you can play with all this with your camera and try to find the way and how this look better later when you are editing. For example, right here where we are, I want to show you the first scene that I have been practicing. This light over there. This will give you, for example, in my way, this will give you, in my case, this will give you something in the foreground to play with, and you will get used to it, to the focus and something like that. And you have this house and this trees in the background that you can be also playing your composition. The first thing I want to say is normally, and I will show you in the camera just in a minute, try to avoid to take the camera to eye level. This will give you eye level camera give you the same look that you see every day. So will give you this kind of amateur kind of looking too. You want to go to where the action is. You want to be in the same level where the thing you want to show is. I will join now to the camera, and I will use handheld from now on, and I will show you what I mean. So here I'm filming. Let's say I'm trying to find for my scene, as I told you. How you can see, you say maybe it's nothing look like interesting over here. Maybe you want to make a video of you going to that hill, like as I make the other day, and for example, you can look at this these lamps. If you're taking it from here, this doesn't look any good. But if you're going, for example, right here, and you try to focus on the lamp like this, and maybe you can move the lamp a little bit, like the wind is blowing all on that. You can start moving, like doing this kind of movement, very soft. Of course, a gimbal would be useful. Maybe you want to take a little bit more far, but I'm always raising up the camera. You see? Even we make another take, little bit more near. Move it very soft. Okay, we are here now in another of my scenes that I have been using a lot. I'm sure you will find it in few of the video I have published before, just to share the raw footage for people to use, probably to practice something like that. Is this bush here? As you can see, if I take the camera like this, it's nothing there. It's like, well, it's nothing here to do. But well, what if we are going down here and we focus on this bush? So you have something in the foreground and this house and the trees in the background. You can do this kind of movement, very soft. After that, for example, you can make a take of this house, and you can do the same kind of movement. So as you can see, you don't need this fancy kind of place to start practicing and get good footage. For example, now I'm walking over the snow, and probably I will take I will go down to the snow and make a take there, and you will see how this will look all together. Again, if you stand up in the snow from here, it's nothing really cool here. But what do you say about this log there, this like a dry leaf there on the snow? Maybe we can go down there, all the way down here. And I'm in auto focus now, so I will focus on this leaf. Maybe I'll make like what they call like a punch in, like I will move very soft in, and I will go to the top, or maybe I can do this kind of parallax effect when I'm moving like this. Maybe even now I will make like a more close up like this. And I will try to keep, I want to keep the focus on this very near to me leaf, like this. And I will move a little bit to the top. So let's see how this footage we just take go all together. Yeah, the other thing that I have learned is that you want to practice is how you move yourself when you are holding the camera. And I found that it's a good way to keep the camera always near to you. And if you try to don't hold it very stiff, because this will give more kind of shaking effects. You want to, if you don't have a good hand to hold it without a lot of shaking, you want them to try to be moving all the time. Kind of this will add a little bit also cinematic to the footage. It's kind of, you want to hold your camera and try to make like, imagine you are like in a boat or you are like drunk, something like that. Then you hold your camera and you try to always move it like this, very soft. Also, the other thing you want to do is when you want to make some kind of movement, if you can, you keep your camera close to you and you do you do something like this from here. So never hold your camera far to you, because there will be the more chance to be like to get like a shaky footage. Another thing you want to do is, even when the sound is something that is something about the post production, is to to know how you will connect your clips. This don't have to be like long sequence, but you can be thinking every time you are shooting to try to get to think of the sequence like 2 different framing or 3. And I don't know if that's correct how I'm playing, but this is how I found. For example, let's have a look in this same video we were taking before. For example, I like how this look here. I'm focus very near. Maybe I would do some movement like this, up, and after that maybe I can go to that trees that are actually in background. I can zoom in a little bit, and I can keep going up, and I will be sure that I'm focusing on there. And definitely these 2 shots will work very well together. Well, now I want to show you what a good framing or decent framing can do to your footage. For example, let's say I want to make a take of myself or somebody, even if I'm handheld or in the triple like now, and I want to make a take going up there. I can tell you how I found myself you can make it better if you want to add some interesting to your frame. Maybe this kind of position here where I'm talking to the camera is good. Then you have a lot of things going in the foreground, and the background is quite even. But if you want more movement and more this kind of cinematic look, you want to try to fix that. But let's see how it look from this same position. Now let's try to fix and make it look much better. And the thing is, you want to try to find something in the foreground too, so they give you more kind of depth to your image. Also, you want to add more interesting. You need to try to keep an eye how the object will move in your composition. How do you have it? Let's say, for example, I have a tree here near me. Okay, actually we will keep the focus now on here, and let's see how this look, and then we will try focusing in the back. Let's try that. Just very tiny, just few meters can make your footage look more interesting and more cinematic. So sometimes it's not about the camera, it's not about the what lens you're using, it's not about the color correction or anything like that. It's about try to train the eye to. Some people follows in the habit that buy gear, and if you have the money, that's okay, and of course better gear will give you better quality and stuff like that. But before that, I highly recommend to try to invest more in your eyes and try to find that. I'm doing that, of course, still because it's my first month working, but for now I will be keeping my attention on that. I don't want to get a better camera or anything like that. I can think I can get a lot better from this camera that I'm doing right now. So unfortunately it's starting to rain a little bit. We'll make last take in the tripod to show you how to use a few tricks I want to do now in this post-production, and we need to go back. So let's say now I want to go over that rock. I want to film myself going over that rock. I will sit there, and now we will try to implement a few things that how we have been talking before, and also show in post-production what we can do with that. The first thing is I want to put, for example, something like this in the front, so look like more like I'm lonely in the place, and this will give some, I hope, some kind of interesting to the image. I'm rushing because now I'm starting to rain a little bit, but let's see. And the second thing is I will try to make a second take from me sitting in that rock more near, so we can play with that in the post-production later. Let's see how it's look. I want to go in the frame. I hope it will be the focus on me, so let's do that. I hope this was focusing on me. But now we want to do like kind of the same and a little bit more near. And we will put it together and you will see what I'm talking about, that the shooting process gives you a lot of the cinematic kind of feeling. Let's go there. So I will try to do the same thing. I don't know how will look the framing from me sitting there, but anyway, you will get the idea. Let's try to repeat the same thing. So I hope I'm not cropping my head off this take here, but if I does, you know, I'm in the rush. Let's go to the house and I will show you the third part, that is the actual post-production. Is some tricks editing and some color grading tips. Let's jump there.